Okay, good morning everybody. Thank you for coming to this breakout session. My name is Steve Harding and I'm the Sales Director in the UK, responsible for diversified markets. Actually, I'm responsible for about 9 different industry verticals in the UK market, and one of those industry verticals is utilities. And I'm delighted today to introduce one of our utility customers, British Gas. They're one of the top 6 utility organisations in the UK, a very respected provider of dual fuel energy in the UK market, plus additional services. They're one of the top 6, hugely respected, an iconic brand in the UK, and a customer that we're really proud to have. They're joined here by their partner, Adquira, who are a fantastic specialist boutique partner in the next best action and decisioning arena. I've grown to love these guys. They have huge command and experience within this space, and if any of you are considering projects in this arena, I cannot recommend them enough. They really are a truly fantastic partner. So today I have joining me on stage Steve Thomas, who is the head of campaign decisioning at British Gas. We have Joe Allen, who is the business lead for next generation decisioning, and we have Samir Prakash, who is one of the directors at Adquira. And they're going to talk to you about delivering superior customer experience through integrated customer decisioning. So this is all about providing personalized, conversational, real-time, contextual marketing and customer services messages to their customer base. So I'm going to step down over to the guys. I hope you enjoy the presentation. Oh, one piece of housekeeping. There is a microphone just there. If anyone has a burning question, please just step up to the microphone, do 2 bars of your favorite song, sing that song, and then ask the questions.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you. Thank you. So, good morning, everyone. As I'm Steve Thomas, I'm the head of campaign decisioning at British Gas, as I've said, and I'm joined by Joe and Samir. Today, what we're going to share with you is really our story about why and how we've started to re-engineer our customer decisioning platform at British Gas, and kind of give you, what we're going to do is going to go through 3 key areas of focus. Firstly, we're going to explain the drivers behind our contacts, what made us change, and then we're going to give some real insight into the approach we have taken with the next generation decisioning program at British Gas. And we're going to, on the end, we're going to share some of our challenges and learning on the way, which will kind of hopefully help you guys in the future. But let's start. So British Gas is actually one of the oldest companies in the world. And we started out in 1812 by hand lighting the first gas-powered streetlights in Westminster, London. And actually, every night, we still do that today with the remaining 1,500 gas lamps, but we are much more focused on delivering smooth-running homes that help save our time, energy, and money for our customers. And we've got about 10.5 million residential customers in the UK. We've also been embracing innovation, and we were given a simple mission to make the connected home a reality for everyone, and not just the technophile among us. And that led us to our first product, which was Hive Active Heating, which was launched in September 2013 and is now already the UK's #1 connected thermostat platform. And our challenge really at British Gas is to embrace this innovation throughout the organisation to become the 21st century energy and service company our customers expect. So we've already said there's a bit of heritage there with 200 years old, and I know we've spoken about a number of companies that have almost been around as long as us. I think so far this year, we're the oldest company I've heard of here. So in our organisation, we believe people don't come to work to do a bad job. However, small decisions are often made over time for good reason in small teams. And with organic growth and periodic restructuring comes a spider's web of technologies which result in silos of business operations. And if you step back and think about the bigger picture, you can see this has often resulted in disjointed customer experiences and siloed interactions. And for us, a clear example of this was a customer journey around moving home, which at one point had 17 different customer communications But in contrast, many organisations simply think of this as a change of address. Sorry. And in the decisioning world, we also face some flexibility and constraints. So we really wanted to think about product bundling and how we could achieve that for some of our customers. We were constrained a little bit by regulation and conduct, but we just really couldn't get to real time with the platform we had. And alongside this legacy, we have a responsibility to provide balance. On one side of the coin, we have a duty of care to manage regulatory burden in the energy sphere and evolving privacy legislation. Data is in demand, and that's increasing our need for access to data to show that we know our customers. We also need to ensure that we're treating customers fairly at all times. And on the opposite side of the coin, we need to put customers at the heart of our business and to optimize and arbitrate to deliver a better customer experience. We need to innovate in our products and journeys, and we have a responsibility to our shareholders to efficiently use our resources. And in our organisation, we think of it as all our P&Ls coming together with our individual targets and objectives. And we sit at the crossroads where our job is to keep customers happy, drive a great experience, and deliver business objectives. But to fully realise that ambition and help us do a better job, we knew we had to re-engineer our customer decisioning platform to unlock improvements in our customer experience and create more value from the significant data assets that we had. So when we started to think about our vision, we anchored it in the Centrica strategy, which is about satisfying the changing needs of our customers. And with that, there was a desire to grow our business by improving customer service, developing the right offers to retain and win customers, and improve efficiency. And in support of this philosophy, the Next Generation Decisioning Programme was born out. And that was really to get us from product push to customer conversations. And to achieve that goal, we developed 3 programs of work to take us to our endpoint of an integrated real-time customer decision platform. Well, we think with this, once this is completely in place, we'll be able to have a deeper understanding of our customers, and we'll use this platform to create personalised, relevant and timely dialogue with them so that they choose to engage more, stay longer and be happier customers with British Gas. So, to start getting into some of the detail, in British Gas we have 2 capabilities today. We have a Best Next Action platform, or Next Best Action in Pegaspeak, serving inbound channels. And we have a Campaigners platform serving all our outbound channels. And right now, when we started out, and still today, both these machines operate separately in silos. So if we're targeting an outbound campaign for an offer today, we wouldn't recognise that a customer may have called in yesterday and rejected that same offer. And in targeting an inbound campaign, the converse is true. We just can't really leverage the scale of our proactive contact into our inbound conversations. And this simply isn't efficient, and it's kind of confusing to a customer. And if you kind of look at those 2 wheels out there, you'll see that some of those elements are the same. So rules, and we have kind of rules and models, we have offers, and we have to complete planning and forecasting processes regardless of channel. And our approach really is to bring all of this together for a better and more consistent customer experience. So today, we are bringing our inbound and outbound channels together and structuring them all around our customer journeys. This puts the customer first and helps us think about what their best next action is in relation to their current context. We will create all their offers and analytics once, and we're moving to a single integrated customer contact plan. And in all of our channels, we'll then use this integrated customer contact plan to deliver an integrated marketing experience. We think this is truly customer-centric, and it will allow for consistent messages across each of our channel touch points. So I'm now going to hand over to Joe and Samir to talk about how we've approached the deployment of next generation decisioning at British Gas. Okay. Thank you.
Hi again, I'm Samir Prakash. I'm a director with Accura. We are partnering with British Gas, helping them deliver this cool Pega technology. What I wanted to do today is just pick up one of the use cases that Steve mentioned around home move, and basically, one of the things that we did with British Gas early in our interaction with them, we helped build out some visualization scenarios which talk about how would the world be different once you had this integrated next generation decisioning. So let's consider this new world first, and then I'll compare and contrast with what we have today with the old technology. So meet Ross from Friends, as Joe calls it. He's part of a young couple segment within British Gas. An existing British Gas customer, he rents a flat with Economy 7 heating. For those of you who don't know, in UK, that allows the user to actually, it's electric heating, but your house heats, right? The heaters work overnight, and then during the day they let out electricity. So he uses electric heating. He submits his meter readings online regularly, and this month he's unusually late. So he's a digital customer. What British Gas would like to do is we'll trigger an outbound email to Ross. And the main body of this email talks about the main message saying, you've forgotten to submit your meter reading. Why don't you submit your meter reading? But alongside that, you'll see there are two other messages that we put at the bottom. One of them is cross-selling Hive and home installation. Part of this could be driven by the fact that he's a digitally savvy customer. Hive is connected thermostat, so that's the equivalent of Nest that you have here in US. So that's, we think Ross would be interested in that. And the second thing is, it is possible that he's thinking of moving home. So we invite him to come and log into the British Gas website and check out a home move infographic that we have for him. Now, at this point in time, just an insight that we have in the background is British Gas actually gets a lot of third-party data. So we get data from websites like Zoopla, Rightmove, etc., which are websites you would go to search for new houses, new properties, etc. So by using that third-party data, we can actually be very direct in targeting Ross by putting that together with the first-party data, and we do know that there's a high likelihood that Ross is in the market looking for a house, so could be moving home. Okay? So Ross clicks on the email we send him. He comes on to this infographic tile, and he's presented with a microsite. So again, the idea is Pega has this capability where you don't necessarily have to drop people directly onto your normal website, which may have a development cycle. You have to align with that. It allows marketing to actually have a marketing managed and hosted microsite. So he would land on this particular microsite. It's the purpose of the microsite is not to sell him anything purposefully. You'll see some tiles on the right which have related messages and offerings that British Gas have. But on the left, it's about where are you moving to? What schools are there? What are the crime rates in that particular area? So it's a service-oriented message. And the idea is as Ross interacts with it, he starts building things like a checklist. What are the kind of things he needs to do as part of his home move? So we are partnering with Ross. We are interacting with him and taking him on that journey along with the home move. Okay? Now, the idea would be Ross engages with the infographic, the website captures his area of interest, and it promotes the home move service offer if it's relevant to him. The bits that you see with little yellow orange bulbs there are data capture points. So with every interaction Ross has, whether it's the first time he's going onto the website, if he's visiting it subsequently, we are knowing more and more about Ross. We're capturing all that data, and that helps decisioning to be more interactive, richer, and more targeted and relevant to him. So for example, we'd look at things like Ross's current profile, products that he currently has, and what's his usage. Now, some of you may work in utility. Utility is quite unique in case of British Gas because there's a very high likelihood that we supply gas and electricity to the property he's moving to as well. So in this example, if you can think of Ross, young couple moving from a flat to a small house in the suburbs. We know about the flat he lives in. We know about the house he's moving in. We know the family which lived in the house that he's moving in, what kind of usage profile they have, what kind of products they have, what is the consumption levels. So all of this data is there. It's all that big data that we have in the lake. Joe will talk about that later. So it's about harnessing all that big data, processing it, but then making it bite-sized and consumable by Ross. So when it's presented on the website, he can see, okay, this is the estimated usage that he would have. These are the products that he has, which makes his, when he moves to the new house, would make sense to him and would be relevant to him. So I'll just read through, it talks about the property has a new boiler. It has an outhouse. They'll talk about what are his needs when he moves to the new house. So you can have interactions, you have Q&As on the website, etc. And in the end, when Ross is finally ready to move to the new house, he has a full portfolio of the offers and products from British Gas which he needs to move house. Okay? Now, at this point in time, operationally, there is that disjoint, I wouldn't say disjoint, there's a handover where marketing stop and then the operational processes take over. So Ross actually moves home, and after he's moved home and a few weeks later when he's settled in nicely, we can then start interacting with him to follow up on the offers that we gave him. So we said, right, Ross, you moved home, everything's done and dusted. Have you thought about boiler care? Have you thought about home care, which is an insurance product which covers all the utility the things that you have? Have you thought about insulation? It's an old house. You can put new insulation things in. Have you signed up with loyalty? You get Nectar points from us. And that's Ross. But guess what? There's somebody moving into the flat that he's vacated now. We don't know who that person is. So British Gas run campaigns to the occupier in the old house, but the message is the same. So-and-so person has moved out. This is the profile they had. These are the products they have. You have moved in. We can talk to you, and we can help you tailor your packages around what would be relevant to you. Okay? Let's compare that with the home move journey today. So if Ross is considering moving home, actually, never mind the 6 weeks, never mind the X number of weeks before he actually moves home. Still 6 weeks after he's moved home, marketing don't have any visibility of Ross, and they don't interact with him. They would then, after 6 weeks post-move, start treating him as a prospect because he's moved to a new house, and then start talking about, oh, are you interested in something or the other? So we've lost all those opportunities to engage with Ross, take him on that journey, be at the forefront because he's an existing customer. We have all that data about him, about the house he's potentially moving to, and we've lost all the opportunities in terms of the business opportunities of having a more meaningful relationship with Ross once he's moved to the new house. Okay? I'll hand over to Joe, who can talk a bit more about how we actually went about doing the project. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Samir. So here's our dilemma, right? So 4 or 5 years ago, we built our solution. At the time, it was what we needed. It worked for us. It did everything we needed it. But over time, we have added new bits here and there. We've made some extensions. And in fact, some other people have come to live with us in our house. And now it's starting to creak. I liken this to my own situation at home. So my partner and I, my husband, in fact, have thought for a number of years whether we should move house or whether we should extend the property we have. We have space to extend, but the fact will still remain that if we were to extend our current property, there would still be a room that was just that little bit too small or didn't quite work for us. So we could invest in the house we have, only to find that in a couple of years we have to move anyway, by which time UK house prices have gone up. At British Gas, we've chosen to move now so that we can grow into our house. That will allow us to move fast or slow, depending on how we want to, and grow into something that will last us a considerable amount of time. So, this is how we used to do it. Steve talked a little bit about this already. So our outbound campaigning is currently run through a traditional campaign tool, has all the things you'd expect from a campaign tool. It sits on a structured data warehouse, which is due to be decommissioned towards the end of this year. We run most of our campaigns fortnightly. Some of it's done daily for retention purposes, so we have some trigger campaigns. But there is a manual step towards the end of it to actually push it out to the channel. Then we have our inbound best next action or next best action, whichever you want to call it. That serves our logged in customers in the website and our inbound call centres. This is run on the same structured data warehouse, but it's all done in raw SQL, so reams and reams of rules to say, what should we do to a customer? It's essentially a 4-year-old proof of concept. And the two don't talk to each other. There is no consistency. They run on different data sets. They don't talk to each other. We have absolutely no idea what's going on each side of the fence or the wall. So it's completely possible that if we could send a customer a conflicting message on the same day via different channels, or in fact, something completely different, something the same, in fact. Not a great place to be in. Both of them also have considerable latency due to the way we pull the data. So here's how we're going to do it. I talked about our structured data warehouse being decommissioned towards the end of this year because we've already put in place a move to a big data platform, which is our data lake built off Hadoop. That's currently in process and is now filled up with a lot of data. It's essentially our dumping ground where we take data from our core systems and then we're able to self-serve off that data. I also talked about the fact that we wanted to grow into our house. So we're going to take a phased approach to our deployment of Pega marketing. In phase one went live on the 21st of January this year, just 5.5 months after we signed a contract with Pega. In phase one, we've put in the plumbing to move data from our lake to the cloud and back again. We've also moved all our best next action campaigns. They're all now residing in the cloud and running on a daily basis. That's reduced some of our latency. So previously, our inbound campaigns were live for, the data latency was about 4 to 11 days. Now it's running daily rather than weekly, so we've reduced that latency. The big ticket item for us, though, is phase two. This is due to go live at the end of October this year. This is when we move to a world of centralized strategies across all our channels. We'll bring the inbound and the outbound worlds together, and in fact, we won't even call them inbound and outbound anymore. We'll move to a world where we think about what we want to talk to a customer about first, and the channel will become secondary. That's really great for us because we'll be able to think about an offer once and then deploying it in separate channels. So there's some efficiency there for us as well. The bit there's also a new channel we're putting live in phase two, which is quite exciting. So right now we have 12,000 field engineers, and between them they make 9 million visits to our customers. And right now, when they walk into a customer's home, they have no idea whether that property is served by British Gas. They're walking in to service a boiler, they don't know if it's a British Gas account or not. Not a great place to be. We want to bring them into the fold, make sure that they've got the information they need about a customer, and can have those conversations that are consistent with all our other channels, so we're serving the same messages, but just via a different channel. This is all done in batch right now. So most people pick one channel first and do that real time. We're a bit different. We've gone for moving upwards rather than across. So that's all in batch. Phase 3 is when we start to bring in the context in real time. So phase 3, we're going to attack the digital landscape first, and we're going to make that real time. By that, I mean we're going to start thinking about what page a customer is on and use that to inform what we might talk to a customer about, adding the colour to the conversation. The bit I'm really excited about in phase 3 is the email capability as well. So right now, when we select customers for an email campaign, we select the data one day, and then about 2 weeks later, that email might go out to a customer. With the Pega capability, we will be able to decide what goes in that email, not when we select the customer for the campaign, not when we send the campaign, but when the customer opens it, meaning we can be extremely relevant and up to date with what we're talking to our customer about. Then in phase 4, we're going to bring all our other channels into the real-time space. So when a customer calls into our inbound call centers, we'll be able to have a relevant conversation to that customer at that point in time. So if a customer's calling us to complain, we might decide to downweight any offer that might promote something to a customer and instead start talking about things that might help them save money or might improve their experience, drive loyalty. That takes us to a place where we'll have centralized decisioning on demand with minimal data latency. We'll start thinking about what we want to talk to a customer about first, and the channel becomes secondary. We're also taking advantage of the great simulation capability we get with Pega, which is really, really key for us. And we've already seen that in phase 1, when we're now able to predict what might happen in a channel. And we're able to take that to our senior leadership teams and say, well, actually, if we change something here or we change something there, this is the impact it's going to have on your kind of sales in channel. That's really powerful for us. And that's all in the cloud. And this is our new house. I'd show you a picture of mine, but I don't move till next week, so I don't want to tempt fate. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. We already know that we've made the right choice. I've talked about it already, but we will have centralized strategies across all our channels. Design once, deliver in multiple channels. We're also able to simulate 1 billion offers in under 3 hours. That's extremely powerful and extremely fast when you want to start predicting stuff and be able to talk to your leadership teams about it. And that's in the cloud. We had a lovely moment last Christmas, just before we were due to go live, when our performance was, let me say, a little bit slower than we expected. We expected our batch to run in about 3 hours, and it was running in 60. Within 2 weeks, with the support of the Pega Cloud team, we managed to take that down to 1 hour, 40 minutes. That's something that would take months if it was on-premise. Just wouldn't be possible. So to us, the benefits are incredibly clear. By having personalized, relevant, and timely offers, we're able to improve the customer experience. One capability means one team, one smaller team. And also it fits really well with our IT strategy of the big data. We're able to self-serve that data and pull it in the format we want to and squat it up into our cloud instance. And therefore, we are basically looking at a multi-million-pound saving with this move to Pega. And bonus that we didn't plan in, but have seen an uplift of 20% in conversion rate just in phase 1. I'm going to pass back to Steve.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe. So I think you will agree that's a pretty good set of benefits. But to think of moving on a little bit now, what are the challenges and the kind of learnings we face? So, this is a difficult journey we're undertaking, and thankfully we're kind of going together with some really good people with our partners, Acura. So the first thing we've really got to think about is how we rewire the brain for customer. And this is all about putting the customer first and the channel second, which is traditionally something very different to how British Gas has operated. It is traditionally thought about channels first and kind of products secondly, and then finally kind of customers. And I think the next thing we need to think about is kind of, once you've got this capability, is innovation, and that's end-to-end innovation. So we make the most out of the tool, and there's many areas we need to innovate in. We have to innovate in our customer journeys to make them seamless across channels. There's a lot for us going on the Internet of Things, so we've already spoken about having a sort of a connected thermostat business. That's in our connected home business called Hive. Right now we're on the verge of launching smart boilers. So in the UK, maybe it's similar in the US, boilers kind of break down and then we have to kind of arrange for an engineer to come and fix them. Well, now the sensors and the diagnostics available on those boilers means that we can predict with over 95% accuracy a boiler that's going to fail in the next 24 hours. So for us, we've got to really change that question now that we know that in our organisation. How do we prioritise our engineer workforce to kind of get out and start serving those customers, do that in advance? And we also need to think about the modelling and analytics behind all of this. So traditionally, we've either worked in a population-based or a segment-based approach, and now we really need to get this down to a one-to-one, a segment of 1 hour decisioning with this kind of capability. And all this is really great for us because we can start to rethink our product offerings and start to really unbundle those things to create personalised bundles and clear investment frameworks. And the truth is, guys, we're kind of creating all of this on Pega, on demand, real time, for all products, all channels, for 10.5 million customers. And so what did we learn along the way? Well, actually, we learned quite a few things. So one, we really like being a business-driven approach, and we moved at some pace. And so actually, if I think back to last year, we signed with Pega in August last year, mid-August, and we launched the phase 1 solution for our inbound channels in January this year. So very fast, rapid improvement, about 5.5 to 6 months to get live with phase 1. Many organizations probably have sort of CapEx change programs. We actually put this work actually on top of our in-year change plan, which is something very unheard of at British Gas.
Dave,
went across the country.
Sorry, can we hold questions to the end? We initiated decisioning with kind of what we had. And the first thing there about that is really we were undertaking we spoke about the data lake, so that was a big data Hadoop implementation. So that was going to necessitate quite a lot of replumbing our data feeds. So we used that as an opportunity to kind of unify our customer view up in the cloud, which is something I know Alan talks about quite a bit. And we even felt so good we actually cheated a little bit to go faster. So you know what, we just copied some of that data right out of our traditional data warehouse and put it straight up into the cloud. And then we're allowing for our migration plan to catch up and remove some of those cheats before we finally decommission that system. So we already have our next generation system live, even though it's still sucking in some data from the old platform, but that gets removed later in the year. We've talked a little about simulation and planning, and I think having this kind of capability, what we really wanted to do is have a real seat at the table with the business to help guide and challenge the decision making within the organization. So right now we're doing full-based simulation. So those 1 billion offers Joe spoke about, that's really there to help guide the decision making and really show that as a kind of a CRM and decision science team, we've kind of got all the capability to kind of unlock the value for the organization. We've simply turned on our adaptive modeling at the moment. We're not using it, but certainly we're listening there, and we're going to start using it to teaching and train and looking for those rich themes of data later on in the year. So at the moment, we're just gathering some kind of data. And I think we've already spoken about it a little bit. Pega Cloud, that's really got a silver lining for us. You know, effectively, it's elastic and we can scale quickly. So Joe talked about that ability to kind of move down quicker when we had some performance issues. You know, this was really sort of changed the cost base we were able to approach this problem for, and actually represents a saving for us versus our traditional platform. So in summary, we're about halfway through now our program, and we're seeing some great returns. So in terms of that house, that first floor, the inbound decisioning system is already live, and we're well on the way to kind of creating our second floor, our first floor of our new house, which will be all the outbound decisioning, and it's going to be totally integrated, so we'll be seamless across our channels. We've already got a 20% uplift in our conversion, and who knows what we need to achieve with our second phase. We're increasingly unifying those business processes, so the technology and experience. We're delivering a great experience for our 10.5 million customers as we're getting that done. We're reorganizing our team under one roof, so we've spoken about having a more efficient team, and I'm quite passionate about kind of how people feel in the organization, and my dip checks of kind of like how our engagement scores are. We're actually increasing in a time that our organization is going through an intense period of cultural change. And you know, I think also it really helps that they know that they're doing the right thing for those customers, and we're seen as driving value for the organization. We reduced data latency from kind of 4 days to 1 in some of our back-end systems from just serving off a Hadoop cluster. And I think that drives some of that uplift in conversion, just having the more relevant and contextual data for our customers. And, you know, as we said, we've mentioned it a couple of times, we think we've made some really good decisions. So firstly is about having a world-class decision platform that we believe Pega can only provide that capability to do that in inbound and outbound. That's available off the cloud. And we're really using the expertise from Acura to really work as a trusted business partner with us to help think through some of the visualizations and help us challenge our thinking. So that's been really, really marvelous. So thank you.
So just to wrap up, I'd like to thank the team for presenting to us today. Just a few key words that I think were repeated over and over again during that presentation. We had seamless, integrated, unified, personalized, contextual, relevant, joining up inbound and outbound. These are really, really important features. We all know as consumers that we get, you know, we've lived traditionally in a world of segmentation. And I heard a great anecdote recently. The problem with segmentation is that you've got Prince Charles and Ozzy Osbourne in the same segment because they're both old, they're both British, they're both wealthy, they're slightly mad, but they couldn't be two different individuals. This takes us away from that paradigm into a world that you can be highly personalized in your communication with your customers. So all credit to these guys. They're the first utility company in the UK to brace this. Hopefully not the last, from my perspective, but they've done a fantastic job, and we're really, really proud to have them as a customer. So before we move on, if any of you've got any questions, I'm sure the team would be delighted to answer them. So.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask a little bit more about how you did the data migration, and the point you made about how you did a sort of temporary data migration, and you'll do it in a more permanent way. I wonder if you could just sort of explain that and elaborate on that, and why you decided to do it that way.
So because we're migrating our data at the same time as we're migrating our platform, that's kind of two big things to take on board at the same time. And I might speak out of turn here, but our IT department are moving much slower than we are, and we didn't want to wait for them. So they have a job to do to migrate all of our data out of our enterprise warehouse to our data lake. We didn't want to wait. So what we've done was we've used our internal people within our teams to move some of that data temporarily and stick it in the lake, but the source is from the enterprise data warehouse. And then we're just going to swap out the source at a later date as part of that IT migration.
It's just a pass through in Hadoop, but it's coming through from the warehouse up to the cloud. So from a cloud perspective, the sources remain the same. We don't see any difference, but slowly, one by one, they can move the sources across to the more strategic ones in the lake.
Questions? Just raise your hand.
Have you thought about applying this to other areas other than marketing, for instance, infrastructure maintenance, being that your infrastructure is probably older than ours in the US?
Yeah, so one of those drivers of our costs is, so we spoke a little bit about how as we're getting the technology now, the Internet of Things, to get down to really smart boilers. Whilst it's about knowing kind of a boiler is going to fail, I think it's also getting a bit further than that. And what we're really looking for is kind of what customers want to see is those first time fixes. So if they've had to disrupt their day to kind of let an engineer into their house to kind of fix part of their heating infrastructure, their boiler, what you really want to do is to make sure the right part is on the van, so we can start to back that into our logistics process to make sure that we've got the right parts available, we'll know where those parts are, so we can get it to that kind of customer as quickly as possible.
I was thinking more about leaks and exploding pipes myself.
We don't really have a lot of that in the
It's just the US, huh? Okay.
Deregulated market, so actually the transmission supply business is separate from the retail business. So what you have here is a retail business.
Can I just add something related to what you said? What we have also seen is, even though we have done this program of work very focused to marketing, there are other parts of the business which are now coming in to make use of this decision engine. So for example, one of the areas is there is a move to smart meters in the UK. So those are meters which are automatically sending the readings, etc. back. You don't have to do a visual or manual meter read. So that part of the business have come to us and said, can we recommend them or select the customers who are most likely to respond to a smart meter call? And so we are doing selections for them, which will then allow them to make outbound calls and be more targeted in terms of people who would be more interested in smart meters. So the other parts of the business are expressing an interest to reuse the capability we have put in place as part of this.
Yes, whilst it's owned by the Insight department right now, it is expected to be an enterprise-wide solution for us.
Questions?
Okay.